So what then is Nexus Repository Manager? In some cases, we just refer to it as Nexus. But rarely will you find a job description for DevOps that will not mention Artifactory Manager experience. You should have experience, okay, when it comes to what to Nexus Repository Manager. Now, the summary of it is that, okay, Nexus Repository Manager is what is used to manage artifacts, jar artifacts, right? Or, WAR artifacts and ER artifacts, Docker files as well, right? Nugget, Ruby gems, and more, right? So Nexus is a store for our find application, for our build application, for our tested application. Again, just like you would not put bad food in the fridge, okay? No company wants to deploy an application into Nexus that doesn't meet the standard. That is not good for consumption or for usage, right? So Nexus is a widely used repository that allows us to what? To proxy, collect, and manage dependencies so that what? You are not constantly juggling a collection of jars. It really what simplifies the maintenance of your own internal repositories and what? And access to external repositories. So Nexus is all about artifacts. So I hope you understand what we mean by artifacts, right? So this is what we are talking about. Okay, so let's do what? Let's name this as Nexus. All right. So let's look at, okay, this scenario, right? So we have, this is what? This is Maven, right? We have Maven here. And we have what? So we have, then we have SonarQube. Okay. And again, we have, okay, Apache what? Apache Tomcat, right? Then of course, we have our store. Okay, we have what? We have Nexus Repo Manager. Okay. So this is what is happening here, right? So first, okay, Maven what? Maven, don't like this arrow. Okay. Maven what? Maven builds and what? And package, okay, the what? The application. Okay. Now, the result of this build is what? Is going to be an artifact, right? An artifact, like we saw yesterday, okay? An artifact. Is what? This our application. Let's call it something like what? Like Facebook, okay? .war. So this is what Maven is doing. It builds and packages the application. Now, we have a package, okay? So again, what? We always have our developers here. And again, we have developers, and what we have developers here, right? I can move this in a bit. Now, as the developers develop the source codes, they are pushing it into what? Into a source code management. platform. Okay, SCM, source code management platform. In this case, let's see what is GitHub. Okay, GitHub as such here, right? So everything they do here is what is being pushed here. Again, and again, what is being, okay, pushed right here. From here, what we are able to clone the code and build. So what we are able to clone and what and build. Eventually, what we're going to do is that we are going to set up, okay, an automated build system. But this is what is happening here. So from the source code management, being what the source code for the application made available to us by our developers, we are able to what to use what a build tool here. This is a Java based build tool. Okay, Java what for Java applications, Java apps. Okay, we use Maven in this case. So now Maven does a build. So when you run nvn clean package, what is the result? It's a .wafi, it could be a .jar, it could be a .er. Now we have this package, but again, what we have our source code, and what we want to be able to move this here for what? Move it here. Oops. Hold on 1 second. Not a good one there. Okay. So now we have what after this, okay, we can again, all right, move what? Move our source code into what? Into SonarQube for what? For continuous, okay, continuous what? Code quality, okay, inspection. So this is what SonarQube is doing, right? Is what it's looking for quality. In fact, okay, that's what we have to check the quality of our application here. Again, what we can then, okay, deploy this artifact into Tomcat. So what artifact is what? Artifact, okay, or what? Or application is what is deployed into Tomcat, as the case is right here. So now the question is, okay, now when you run this application, when you run your nvn clean package here, nvn what? Nvn clean package. That's the command, right? That we run to build the application. This application, what happens? What happens was that what is that this command or this goal gave us what? It gave us this, right? It gave us what? This artifact. Now this artifact is stored on your machine. What happens if your other team member wants to use it? Are they going to come hack into your machine? The answer is no, right? So in this case, it has what? It has to be saved somewhere in the remote environment. And what that remote environment is called Nexus Repository Manager. Therefore, we can what? We can store the artifact. So what artifact? Okay. Artifact is what? Is stored in what? In Nexus. So this can be achieved here. Okay, you can what? You can then what? Deploy the artifact in Nexus. So what command are we going to run here? nvn what? nvn deploy is going to what? Deploy this artifact right here into Nexus. So then, what is the significance of this? Why should you care about Nexus? In fact, why is it being used? First, what? For the purposes of collaboration. That's 1. 2, for the what? For the purposes of, disaster recovery. Why? Because if I build this artifact and it stays on my machine, what happens if my machine is down tomorrow? It means that the company have what? Have lost, okay, its application. Why? Because it will be very difficult for us to recover this application. So what? This is what is happening, and so what? This is where Nexus, okay, comes in to what? To store these artifacts. So when we run nvn deploy, as we are going to do shortly today, what happened then is that what? Is that, okay, this artifact is what? Is then stored as such. Okay, so this is what happens. This is what we're looking at. But as we progress, right, we are going to be able to automate this entire process with a tool called Jenkins. Right? If we use Jenkins, we can what? We will learn how to set up what? Build, test, and what? And deploy automated systems so that we don't have to do all of these things manually. However, the reason why we go manual first is because what? We want to be able to explore these individual components so that when we then get to the the aspect of being able to do it manually, it becomes very easy, right? It doesn't become a burden. Okay, it becomes so easy. So this is what Nexus is being used for. When we run our nvn deploy, what happens? This artifact is what is deployed into this repository manager. Okay. See if I can take a screenshot and share. Okay, so that is what we are talking about. Okay. So what it acts as a repository manager, knows what? Not just for Maven and other kind of package, but also what? Docker, npm, Nugget, Ruby gems, and more, making it what? Suitable for a wide range of development environments. Okay. Again, now Nexus is developed and maintained by a company called Sonatype. Okay. This is what? This is the vendor of Nexus. They owned Nexus and they support Nexus. And what? It provides a robust and flexible way to manage artifact repositories. Okay. So even our Docker image, you're going to find out what is an artifact. And what? It is commonly used in software development environments to manage and organize binaries, components, libraries, making it easier for development teams to manage and share software components across projects. Yes. And again, what? It supports, okay, the very point that we should not store it on our local, because then if we need to collaborate, if different development teams have to collaborate in the same company, where are they going to pull that artifact from? It cannot be from somebody's machine, right? It has to be on the internet. Okay, very important. So of course, what Nexus Manager offers several benefits. Okay, that makes it popular. Popular just what? For managing software artifacts and dependencies in development environment. Now, besides Nexus, in fact, what other Artifactory repository can fit in the shoes of Nexus? So of course we have JFrog. right? JFrog is the closest competitor, but Nexus remains open source and what? And widely popular. Okay. So what makes Nexus so important? Okay, what are some of the features of Nexus? So first is that Nexus provides what? A centralized management system. Okay, it's what? It's a provide a centralized location for storing and managing software artifacts and dependencies, making it easier for development teams to access and share these components across projects. So one of your roles, or one of your, of course, your roles or your responsibility as a DevOps engineer in a company that is implementing Nexus is that we are responsible for deploying Nexus and managing Nexus and also managing access. Because just pause for a second and think about, okay, the security risks. Okay, if your Nexus is ever hacked into, right, it means that all your applications going to be out there on the internet, right? So Nexus also provide a strong security and access control, right? So first, it provides a centralized location for storing and managing software artifacts and dependencies, making it easier for development teams to access and share these components across projects. Yes, that's a fact, right? So the fact is, when you start working as a DevOps engineer, right, you are going to be granted access to the company's Nexus environment. So you will not have, and you will not be required to have your own Nexus. No, it doesn't work like that. And that's why for your project on Nexus, we are all going to share one Nexus environment, one Nexus server. So you can have that experience and you are able to discuss it as well. Okay, out of that. The next features is Nexus provide proxying and caching. Nexus can proxy and cache artifacts from remote repositories, reducing download times and minimizing the impact of network outages and repository downtime. What does it mean by caching? I don't know if you guys have noticed that each time, the first time you search a new website or a service on the internet, you search, right? You don't see any drop down. But the next time you go back on your browser and you want to just type Facebook, what happens? Everything that you have typed regarding Facebook pops up. Now that is caching. Caching is a very, very important, process in database management. Now we don't want our users to be accessing the database or to be hitting the database every time they want to request a service. So we can use what we call a memory cache. The Redis, for example, is very good at that mem cache. So yes, you can access the first time, but then that access and your behavior. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys have been becoming so annoyed with is it cookies? Yeah, right. It's also part of it. It tracks you, right, and stores your behavior. So next time, and sometimes you search a website and then you go to your Facebook, and then what happens? You see what you have searched on your Facebook. You see it even in your email. That is cookies, right? Tracking you, monitoring your behaviors and everything you are doing, and all of that. So caching is so important. Why? Because we don't want our engineers to be, hitting our Nexus repository and server every now and then. Now, because they have already downloaded the artifact the first time, the next time they request, it becomes so easy. So they're not going to hit the direct server with the caching feature of Nexus makes that available immediately. Why? Because it's already cached on their system, right? So once they authenticate, they're good to go. Again, Nexus has a very strong security and access control management. So Nexus allows for allows for fine-grained access control, ensuring that only authorized users and processes can access and modify artifacts. It also what supports integration with what security tools and what and vulnerability scanning. Now, so next what Nexus, okay, supports what integration with, for example, right, with LDAP, okay. LDAP is a user management active directory service that it also what integrates with. We can also what we can also integrate what with LDAP and what and Azure what okay. No, Active Directory, sorry, okay. Active what? Active, okay, Directory. Why is this important? Because Nexus is a highly sensitive environment. So access control has to be firmly managed and all of that. So again, what that means is that if you went for an interview, you're asked, hey, you know, what is your experience with Nexus? If you lack anything to say, you know what? I'm in charge of security and access control. That is good enough. Okay. That is good enough. Okay. And of course, it also supports multiple build formats. So of course, Maven, NPM, Docker, Nugget, and others, making it a suitable, diverse development environments and technologies. Again, we are laying the support for why companies, okay, go for Nexus. Of course, it integrates with build tools. Okay. So we're going to we're going to look at Maven Maven, okay. Nexus integration. So after you build, okay, you need to be able to to deploy the artifact into Nexus. But this will not happen unless you have you have been able to integrate Maven with your Nexus. So that's a feature. That's why we are able to integrate okay, Nexus with Maven. Therefore, when we run this command, okay, nvn deploy, what happens? Okay, a deployment into Nexus is triggered. That's what happens. So Nexus will integrate seamlessly with popular build tools such as Maven, Gradle, and others, allowing for easy publishing and retrieval of artifacts during the build process. So again, when we set up our build automation, okay, when we're not doing all of these things automatically, you're going to understand that even more. But let's keep this in mind. It also provides, life cycle management. That's what support artifact life cycle, including the ability to promote artifacts through different stages such as development, testing, and production, and to manage artifacts retention policies. Yes. Now, if you work for a very big company like Facebook, each time they do a code change, right, a new artifact is built. So how do you manage the life cycle of the artifact? So in this case, okay, retention policy backup becomes so important. And again, it aligns, it must always align with what the company wants. So as a DevOps engineer, you cannot decide to implement, a retention policy. No, it has to be given down to you from your boss, from the company. So, okay, now we have this artifact that has been there for the past 5 years. We no longer use it. What can we do in most cases? First, we're going to archive it first and just keep it there for a while again. So it's difficult to just delete artifacts because we never know what dependencies, okay, and all of that. So again, it offers high availability and scalability. The Nexus repo manager can be deployed in a highly available configuration, ensuring that artifact repos are always accessible and that performance scales as the needs of the organization grows. Okay, becomes so important there. So overall, the Nexus manager provides a robust and feature-rich solution for managing software artifacts, improving the efficiency and the reliability of software development processes. What this means is that, yes, after the software source code has been developed, we now have to build the source code, compact it, and package it into an artifact. From that artifact, we are going to deploy into SonarQube, and then deploy into Tomcat. And now, but where do we now store the artifact? It has to be stored in a remote repository. In this case, what we call it an Artifactory repository. Okay. So again, let's now look at Nexus Repository Manager and the software development lifecycle. Okay, what does it provide? Or how does Nexus feature in the software development lifecycle? That's what we are looking at. Okay. So Nexus Repo Manager is suited for software development environment for several reasons. Okay, it provides dependency management. Of course, we will look at that same thing upstairs. Okay, again, build automation? Yes. So when we set up our build automation systems, Nexus integrates with Maven to deploy the artifact into Nexus. So that one is clear. Security and compliance. This is so important. Okay, security and compliance. Software development organizations often have strict security and compliance requirements. Nexus Repository Manager supports fine-grained access control and integrate seamlessly with security tools and vulnerability scanning, helping companies to meet their security and compliance needs. There's one thing you must understand about compliance. Companies don't comply because they like to, right? Companies comply because there are regulations, there are laws. Okay, investments, in fact, investors are interested in looking at their compliance report. So when the compliance auditors comes in to check, hey, how secure is the company's artifact environment, they're looking at all the security, okay, and compliance controls that are in place. So as a DevOps engineer, we're going to set up build automation that enables Maven to integrate with Nexus, and again the security and compliance here. That is going to again provide security control, all of that. The next big thing that it provides is collaboration and workflows. In a collaborative software development environment is essential for team members to share and collaborate on artifacts. Nexus provides a platform for teams to share, manage, and promote artifacts to the stages of the development life cycle. So again, we know that we have So we have development, okay. We have test, okay. Then Of course, we have staging, and then we have production. We're going to look at these carefully, as we progress to our program. Okay, so we have all of this, but again, the fit, support they support for multiple technologies. Nexus supports a wide range of repo formats, including Docker, Maven, NPM, NuGet, and others. This makes it for of course, a diverse development environment and tech accommodating the needs for a broad range of development teams. So in this case, now, imagine we have a very big company like Facebook, for example, doesn't just deploy and manage, just build and manage maybe in Java. Okay, so what if they have an NPM team, a node package manager, software developers using NPM? What if they're using Docker? What if they are using other technologies? Can Nexus still serve? Or does it mean that they have to go look for maybe an artifact manager for Docker, for NPM, NuGet? It becomes so cumbersome, right? But if you can have one environment where all the artifacts fit in there, therefore support for multiple technologies, okay, favors Nexus as a choice of repository manager over others, okay, and all of that. So again, look at all of that. Now, the last thing I want to look at is what is the responsibility of a DevOps engineer as it contains Nexus. In a software development environment, a DevOps engineer plays a crucial role in ensuring the effective integration of development and operation processes. Nexus Repo Manager as a tool for managing software artifacts and dependencies aligns with several key responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. So, because again, right, you must look at yourself. What is your experience with Nexus? Thank you, sir, for that question. I have explain with managing artifact management in my environment and what I am responsible for that. Build automation integration, that's my responsibility. Infrastructure as code is my responsibility. Security and compliance, CI/CD, monitoring and optimization. These are all my responsibilities. So it means that if your company is using Nexus, you need to be able to, to carry out these responsibilities. Artifact management. We know what an artifact is, right? And of course, management. DevOps engineers are responsible for managing the flow of artifacts across the development pipelines. They use Nexus Repo Manager to store, organize, and manage artifacts, okay, like libraries, binaries, and container images, ensuring that the right versions are available for each stage of the software development lifecycle. So important, right? That is quite self-explanatory. So we are responsible for artifact management, and this is why, as a DevOps engineer, you must to have a good understanding of Nexus. Okay, build automation integration. Of course, Nexus Nexus is going to integrate with Maven. Okay, after the artifact is built, like we just saw in our diagram, we need to be able to push the artifact into Nexus. So in this case, but what we're looking up here is build automation integration. So therefore, Jenkins, okay, maybe Maven is going to integrate with something like Jenkins and then Nexus. So after something is built, it should be automatically deployed into Nexus and so forth and so forth. Okay. Infrastructure as code. DevOps engineers often implement IAC practices using tools like Terraform or Ansible. Nexus Repo Manager can store and manage infrastructure as code-related artifacts, Docker images, or config files, ensuring that they are versioned, organized, and accessible. The next one again is security and compliance. We are responsible for implementing security best practices and ensuring compliance with industry standards. So this becomes your responsibility. Okay. They leverage Nexus Repo Manager's features for access control, vulnerability scanning, and integrate with security tools to secure the artifacts and dependencies used in the development and deployment processes. So that becomes also a very, very serious stuff there. Therefore, we have continuous integration and continuous deployment. Again, you are responsible. So these six core responsibilities, this is what you should be discussing in any interview, okay? As part of what you do, as part of your experience. So what's my experience? Of course, monitoring and optimization, continuous integration and continuous deployment, okay, security and compliance, IAC for infrastructure as code, build automation integration, and of course, artifact management becomes part and parcel of what I should be doing. So you're working in a company as a DevOps engineer. What then is going to be some of the best practices that you should be helping your organization to align with? Now, why is this important? In most cases, you will find yourself being the lone DevOps engineer in the company. Okay, so an organization is about to start, okay, a new project, and they need a DevOps engineer. They have no idea what the DevOps guy should be doing, right? And then they bring you in, as what? As a subject matter expert. So again, what? You come back to your documentation, or you come back to LionTech, say, hey, this is what I'm working on. I don't know, okay, how to proceed. What should I be doing? And what we are going to guide you. Or of course, what? The documentation as well is going to guide you. Okay, so in terms of the best practices, automate what? Automate artifact management. DevOps engineers should automate what? The process of publishing, retrieving, and managing artifacts in Nexus Repo Manager as part of what? The overall CI/CD pipeline. This automation helps ensure what? Consistency and reliability in the software delivery process. Now, okay, so in as much as we are going to run NVN deploy, okay, today, our ultimate goal is what? Is to be able to to automatically deploy these artifacts. That's what I'm saying. So that's what that becomes that becomes the goal. That is the ultimate goal. That's what we want to be able to achieve at the end of the day. Okay, to be able to automatically deploy these artifacts into these different environments. Okay. So again, what you keep seeing, okay, CI/CD pipeline. So again, what this is what we're going to look at when we get to Jenkins. Now, versioning and tagging, artifact lifecycle management, integration with build tools again, access control and security. So what? Higher availability and disaster recovery, monitoring and what? Performance optimization. Documentation and training is one of my favorites. Right? You find yourself working for companies who knows what nothing they're doing. And so because of your skills, they're going to depend largely on you to guide them on the right thing to do. So please, go through this document. It is so important. Again, these documents are proprietary, so you cannot distribute them without authorization. But feel free to use them, print them, okay, have it on your files. Just read to understand, because now when we start working on Nexus, you know exactly why it is important, why you are using Nexus, and what is your responsibility when it comes to Nexus. Okay, so let's take an 8-minute break. When we come back, we are going to look at how to install Nexus. Okay.